Do you realize what you are actually doing? You are trading your unique genius for a comfortable seat in a prison cell. Every time you force a smile, every time you swallow your true opinion just to keep the peace, and every time you seek validation from people you don't even respect, you are committing a slow biological suicide. You are killing the only thing that is actually yours. Society tells you that safety lies in the herd. They tell you that being normal is the goal. But look at the herd. Are they free? Are they awake? Or are they just sleepwalking toward the edge? Carl Jung warned us that the price of belonging to the crowd is the loss of the self. If you have ever felt like an outsider, or like a wolf surrounded by sheep, that feeling is not a disorder. It is your immune system trying to save you. In this video, we are not just going to talk about loneliness. We are going to hand you the key to escape the matrix of mediocrity. It is time to walk away. Chapter 1. The biological cost of the mask. Let's be honest for a second. How do you actually feel when you wake up? I don't mean what you tell your boss or your partner, or even your parents. I mean, when that alarm goes off and you stare at the ceiling for those first 10 seconds, do you feel excited? Do you feel dangerous? Or do you feel a low-level, vibrating hum of anxiety in your stomach? Most of us, and I was there for years, go through life thinking that this exhaustion is normal. We tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm just tired from work," or "I just need more coffee." But let me tell you something that might scare you. It isn't work. Hard work actually feels good. Building something you love gives you energy. What you are feeling is the metabolic cost of lying. You see, human beings are social creatures, and we have evolved a mechanism to survive in groups. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, called this the persona. The word comes from the Latin word for mask, the kind actors used to wear in Roman theater to project a specific character and amplify their voice. In a healthy society, the persona is just a tool. It's the polite smile you give the cashier. It's the professional handshake you give a client. It's useful. But here is where we have gone wrong. For most of you watching this, the persona is no longer a tool you hold in your hand. It has become a parasite attached to your face. Think about your last week. How many times did you nod your head in agreement when you actually disagreed? How many times did you laugh at a joke that you found stupid or even offensive just to keep the peace? How many times did you suppress a dark, complex, or ambitious thought because you were afraid it would make the people around you uncomfortable? You might think, well, that's just being polite. That's just being a nice guy. Biologically, that is a stress response. Every time you act in a way that contradicts your true nature, your brain registers a threat. Your amygdala, the ancient alarm system in your brain, doesn't know the difference between a tiger chasing you and you pretending to like your boring coworkers. It just knows danger. So what does it do? It floods your system with cortisol. It spikes your blood pressure. It shuts down your digestion and your immune system. You are literally poisoning yourself to please people who, quite frankly, don't even care about you. Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, hated this. He called it the herd morality. He saw that most men are terrified of their own individuality. They would rather be a sick sheep in a safe herd than a healthy wolf alone in the woods. Nietzsche argued that the good man, the one who follows all the rules, never causes trouble, and always smiles, is actually the most dangerous type of person. Why? because he is repressing so much resentment. He is paying such a high biological price to be nice that eventually he snaps. He becomes bitter. He becomes passive-aggressive. He becomes sick. And this brings us to a harsh truth that Niccolò Machiavelli understood hundreds of years ago. Machiavelli is often painted as a villain, but he was actually a realist. He understood that power requires energy. If you are spending 80% of your daily energy maintaining a fake personality, you have zero energy left to build your empire. You have zero energy left to create art, to make money, or to build a body you are proud of. You are leaking power. You are hemorrhaging your life force into a void of social validation. Think of your energy like a bank account. Every morning you get a deposit. Now, imagine you walk out the door and you have to pay a mask tax. You pay a tax to your family's expectations. You pay a tax to your friends' mediocrity. You pay a tax to society's rules about how you should be. By 2 p.m., you are bankrupt. You are spiritually broke. And that is why you doom scroll. That is why you watch porn. That is why you binge eat. You are trying to buy back a tiny bit of dopamine because you spent your entire fortune on a mask. So the diagnosis is simple, but it is not easy to hear. Your fatigue is not physical, it is existential. You are exhausted because you are acting in a play that you did not write, for an audience you do not respect, and the price of admission is your soul. You need to stop performing. You need to take the mask off, even if it scares people, because the alternative is that one day you will look in the mirror and you won't even recognize the face underneath. Chapter 2: Loneliness versus Solitude. We need to pause here and make a critical distinction, because if you get this wrong, the rest of the video won't work. Most people use the words loneliness and solitude interchangeable. They think they mean the same thing. They don't. In fact, they are almost chemical opposites. When you say, "I am lonely," what you are actually saying is, "I am empty, and I am desperately looking for someone else to fill me up." Loneliness is a state of poverty. It is a hunger. It is that anxious feeling you get when you are sitting in an empty apartment, scrolling through Instagram, looking at other people's lives, wishing you were there. You are begging the world for distraction because you cannot bear to be with your own thoughts. Friedrich Nietzsche, who spent most of his life walking alone in the Swiss Alps, had zero patience for this kind of weakness. He called it the flight from the self. He said that most people run to the herd, to their friends, to parties, to relationships, not because they love those people, but because they hate themselves. They are running away from their own shadow. Nietzsche argued that loneliness is for the sheep who get separated from the flock and starts bleating in terror. Solitude is different. Solitude is a state of richness. Solitude is when you sit in that same empty apartment, but instead of reaching for your phone, you feel a sense of calm. You feel complete. You realize, I am not empty. I am a universe. Carl Jung said something profound about this. He said, if you are lonely when you're alone, you are in bad company. Let that sink in. If you are bored by yourself, it means you are boring. It means you haven't done the work to build an inner world that is worth living in. You have decorated your house for guests, for the persona, but you left your own bedroom empty. Solitude is the act of exploring that bedroom. It is the realization that your mind is a garden, and for the first time in years, you are actually stopping to water the plants instead of letting the public trample all over them. And here is where we need to bring in Niccolò Machiavelli, because I don't want you to think this is just some spiritual woo-woo concept dissect. Solitude is a tactical weapon. Machiavelli, the master of strategy, understood that information is power. In a social setting, you are constantly leaking information. You are reacting. You are speaking. You are showing your hand. But in solitude, you become a fortress. When you are comfortable in silence, you become unreadable. While everyone else is desperate to fill the silence with noise, revealing their insecurities and their plans, you can sit back and observe. The person who needs company is vulnerable. They can be manipulated by anyone who offers them a little piece of attention. The person who loves solitude, they are untouchable. You cannot bribe a man who is already rich. You cannot tempt a man who is already happy sitting in an empty room. So stop telling yourself the story that you are a loner or a loser because you aren't out at the club every Friday night. Flip the script. You are not isolating yourself. You are incubating yourself. You are moving from the poverty of loneliness to the richness of solitude. One is a desert where you die of thirst. The other is a laboratory where you invent the future. Which room do you want to live in? Chapter 3. The Alchemical Vessel. Now we get to the core of the matter. This is the part that nobody talks about because it requires you to change how you live. We established that solitude is not loneliness. But what is it for? Is it just about relaxing? Is it just about reading a book in peace? No. According to Carl Jung, solitude is a piece of technology. It is a machine for transformation. Jung had a term for the ultimate goal of human life: individuation. This doesn't just mean growing up. It means separating yourself from the collective blob of society and becoming a distinct, undivided, powerful individual. But here is the catch, and Jung was very specific about this. Individuation cannot happen in a crowd. To explain this, Jung looked at the ancient alchemists. These were the guys trying to turn lead into gold. Now, metaphorically, lead is your current self, heavy, dull, reactive. Gold is your future self, radiant, valuable, indestructible. The alchemists discovered that to turn lead into gold, you needed a vas hermeticum, a hermetic vessel, a perfectly sealed glass container. Why sealed? Because for the transformation to happen, you need heat. You need psychic pressure. If the vessel has even a tiny crack, the heat escapes, the pressure drops, and the lid stays lit. It never becomes gold. You are that vessel. And here is the problem with your life right now. Your vessel is cracked wide open. Every time you have a new idea and you immediately run to tell your friends about it, you are opening the lid. The heat escapes. Every time you post your workout on Instagram for a hit of validation, you are opening the lid. The pressure drops. Every time you text people just because you are bored, you are leaking the very energy that was meant to transform you. You are constantly venting your potential into the atmosphere, and then you wonder why you feel stuck. You aren't stuck. You're just leaking. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this better than anyone. He looked at the great men of history, the creators, the prophets, the conquerors, and he found one common denominator. They all spent massive amounts of time alone. Nietzsche argued that culture, by definition, is a leveling force. The herd wants everyone to be average because average is safe. If you stay in the herd, you will think like the herd. You will value what the herd values, and you will fear what the herd fears. To birth a dancing star, as Nietzsche put it, you must have chaos inside you, but you must contain that chaos in solitude to give it form. You cannot write a symphony by committee. You cannot paint a masterpiece while checking your Ds. Greatness requires a departure. And if the spiritual argument doesn't convince you, let's look at it through the cold, hard lens of Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli was a master of power dynamics. He taught that silence is strategic. When you are constantly available, constantly talking, and constantly sharing your plans, you become predictable. And in the game of life, predictable people are easily controlled. There is a power in concealment. When you withdraw into solitude, people don't know what you are doing. They don't know what you are thinking. This makes you formidable. Machiavelli would tell you, never reveal your intention. When you build in silence, nobody can ruin your plans because nobody knows them. When you work in the dark, your results hit the world like a lightning bolt out of a clear sky. So think of your solitude as an alchemical vessel. Go into your room, close the door, seal the cracks, turn off the phone, sit with the heat. It will be uncomfortable. You will want to reach for distraction to release the pressure. Don't. Let the pressure build. Let the heat rise. That discomfort you feel is not bad. It is the friction of the lead turning into gold. Cook the contents of your soul until you are ready to re-emerge. Not as a reflection of your friends, but as yourself. Chapter 4. The Danger of the Outsider. Now, I need to give you a serious warning. If you actually do this, if you actually start shutting your door, turning off your phone, and spending time in the alchemical vessel of solitude, do not expect a round of applause. In fact, expect the exact opposite. Expect aggression. You need to understand something about human nature that Friedrich Nietzsche spent his entire life screaming about. The herd does not like the outsider. When you were just one of the guys, complaining about your job, wasting time, and drowning in noise like everyone else, you were safe. You validated their lifestyle. You made them feel comfortable in their own stagnation. But the moment you withdraw, the moment you stop engaging in the gossip, the moment you say no to the happy hour because you are working on your mind, you become a mirror. Carl Jung explained this mechanism perfectly. He said that when an individual starts to grow, they become a screen onto which others project their own failures. When your friends see you becoming disciplined, they don't think, "Wow, good for him." Subconsciously they think, "Why aren't I doing that?" Your silence highlights their noise. Your focus highlights their distraction. Your growth highlights their decay. And because the human ego hates to feel inferior, they will attack you. They won't say, "I'm jealous." No, the ego is too clever for that. They will frame it as a moral judgment. They will say, "You've changed." They will say, "You think you're better than us." They will say, "You're being cold, distant, weird." Nietzsche called this ressentiment. It is the revenge of the weak against the strong. The sheep does not hate the wolf because the wolf is evil. The sheep hates the wolf because the wolf is free. Your freedom insults their slavery. So, how do you handle this? This is where we need the cold, strategic mind of Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli taught us that you cannot be loved by everyone without becoming a slave to everyone. He understood that in the game of power, you never explain yourself to your inferiors. When the herd attacks you for being distant, the mistake you usually make is that you try to apologize. You try to explain, no, I'm just trying to focus. Stop doing that. Machiavelli would tell you that by apologizing, you are handing them power. You are asking for their permission to be great. Do not explain your absence. Do not justify your solitude. When you start losing friends because you are upgrading your life, do not grieve. It is just the dead wood falling off the tree. It is necessary pruning. If you are not being criticized, you are not doing anything of value. If nobody thinks you are weird or arrogant, it means you are still firmly stuck in the matrix of mediocrity. So when the backlash comes, and it will come, do not retreat. Take it as a compliment. It is the sound of you breaking the sound barrier. It is the confirmation that you have finally become dangerous to the status quo. Let them talk. You have work to do. Chapter 5, The Protocol. I'm not asking you to sell your house, shave your head, and move to a cave in the Himalayas. That is escapism, not strategy. We are going to do something much harder. We are going to build a fortress of solitude right in the middle of the chaos of your modern life. Here is the 3-step protocol. Step 1. The sacred hour, the Jungian descent. You need to carve out 1 hour every single day for absolute zero-input solitude. I call this the sacred hour. This means no phone, no podcasts, no music, no books, and no people. Just you, a chair, and a notebook. At first, this will be terrifying. Carl Jung warned us that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. When you sit in that silence, the first thing you will feel is boredom. Then you will feel anxiety. Your brain will scream for dopamine. It will remind you of emails you haven't sent, or embarrassing things you did 5 years ago. Let it scream. This is the detox. You are confronting your own shadow. If you stay in the chair, the noise will eventually settle, and a new voice will start to speak. That is the voice of your intuition. That is the gold. Step 2. Fortify the borders, the Machiavellian defense. Once you start generating this new energy, you need to protect it. Niccolò Machiavelli taught that a prince who cannot defend his borders will eventually lose his kingdom. Your time is your territory. And right now, you have open borders. You need to learn the power of the word no. And I don't mean a polite, apologetic no. I mean a Machiavellian no. When someone asks for your time and it doesn't align with your purpose, you do not owe them an excuse. You do not owe them a lie about being busy. No is a complete sentence. When you stop apologizing for your boundaries, you signal to the world and to yourself that your time is valuable. People respect what is scarce. Make your presence scarce. Step 3. The will to power, the Nietzschean creation. Finally, what do you do with all this saved energy? You don't just hoard it, you transmute it. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of the will to power. He didn't mean power over other people. He meant the power to create. He believed that the highest form of human existence is the creator. The energy you use to waste on gossip, put it into your business. The energy you used to waste on scrolling, put it into your body. The energy you used to waste on fitting in, put it into your art. Stop consuming and start creating. Stop building a life that looks good to the herd and start building a life that feels powerful to you. The door to the cage has been open the whole time. You were just waiting for permission to leave. Here is your permission. Walk out. If you made it this far, you are part of the 1% who actually wants to wake up. But waking up is just the beginning. Now that you've separated from the herd, you need to understand the dark psychology they use to keep you trapped in the first place. Click this video here. I'm going to show you exactly how to spot the manipulation before it starts. I'll see you there.